There is a move in Hajime no Ippo that has been evolving for over 1,000 chapters, and it's not done yet. Most people know what the Dempsey Roll is. Figure 8 motion, head weaving, hooks from both sides, body weight on every punch. It's the most iconic technique in boxing manga history and probably the most recognizable move in all of sports anime. Everyone's seen the clip. Everyone knows what it looks like. But what people don't know, what almost nobody has actually broken down, is that the Dempsey Roll as it exists in the final chapter of this manga is not the same weapon Ippo first used. Not even close. It has been rebuilt from the ground up 2 times now. Each time because an opponent, real or theoretical, forced Morikawa's hand and demanded a new version. There are 3 forms of the Dempsey Roll, and the 4th one, the one that hasn't been named, the one Ippo hasn't thrown in a real match yet, is the one the entire manga has been building towards. And I think most of you already know who it's for. Let's break this down properly. First of all, Form 1, the original. The original Dempsey Roll wasn't even Ippo's invention. Ippo came up with it himself. He reinvented it in isolation. Early on he watched Mike Tyson tapes and noticed how Tyson loaded his body weight into punches by weaving. Ippo took that movement, pushed it to its extreme and turned it into something violent. The figure 8 motion. Head sweeping in the shape of a sideways infinity symbol. Body driving the momentum through both fists on every loop. Hooks from the left, hooks from the right. All with his full body weight. Every single punch. He didn't even know it already had a name. Jack Dempsey used this technique in the 1920s and it conquered the world. Then it disappeared. Modern boxing moved towards speed and counters and footwork, and the Dempsey Roll became obsolete. Nobody could make it work at an elite level anymore, until Ippo. The technique is terrifying when it lands. It's designed to trap opponents against the ropes, lock them into a rhythm of punishment they can't escape, and stack full body weight hooks until something breaks. There's almost nobody who can just absorb it. That's the appeal. The weakness, though, was always obvious. The rhythm. The Dempsey Roll moves on a pattern, predictable arcs, predictable timing. If you're skilled enough and you have the guts to stand in front of it without blinking, you can read it. You can lean back and increase your field of view, removing the blind spots the hooks arrive from. Then it's just a regular hook. A big one, but regular. Itagaki figured this out. Passed a counter to Volk, and Volk knocked Ippo out in sparring with it. Sawamura used it in an actual match and nearly destroyed him. But none of that is what actually broke the original Dempsey Roll. Now we're coming to the Ricardo problem. There's a spar in this manga that doesn't get enough credit for how important it is. Ricardo Martinez, WBA featherweight super champion, undefeated, 70 fights, not 1 loss. The man at the end of the road for Ippo's story. He came to the Ottawa gym to warm up his left hand before the Date rematch. That's why he was there, not for Ippo, for Date Eiji. When Ippo got into the ring with Ricardo, everything fell apart immediately. Ricardo hits Ippo with his motionless jabs. Punches that seem to come from nowhere. No telegraphing, no visible motion, just impact. Ippo can't figure out where they're coming from. He can't even close distance, so Kamogawa tells him to use his best weapon. Ippo starts the Dempsey Roll motion. Before he can throw a single punch, before he can even build the rhythm, Ricardo's left jab hits him, repeatedly. While he's weaving, Ricardo doesn't lean back. He doesn't step away. He doesn't counter in the traditional sense. He just hits Ippo with the left hand that finds him no matter which direction his head is going, mid-motion, and shuts the whole thing down. The figure 8 stops. Ippo stands frozen. Ricardo walks away. Bill, Ricardo's trainer, mentions afterward that Ricardo had to use his left a bit more than usual because someone in the Pacific actually uses the Dempsey Roll. That spar told Morikawa and told the reader something critical. The original Dempsey Roll is not a weapon that works on Ricardo Martinez. Not because of the lean back counter, because Ricardo doesn't need to lean back. He is good enough to hit you through the weave. The timing disruption alone is enough to stop the motion before it even gets going. That moment is the reason every version that comes after exists. Now the second form, the new Dempsey Roll. After his 4th title defense against Shimabukuro, the counter to the Dempsey Roll spread through Japanese boxing. Boxers all over the country now knew how to stop it. Lean back, remove the blind spots, treat it like a regular hook. The technique that had been Ippo's nuclear option was becoming common knowledge. Ippo refused to abandon it, so he rebuilt it. The new Dempsey Roll addresses the rhythm problem directly. The figure 8 motion begins, same as before, but instead of running in a continuous loop, Ippo can now stop it, mid-motion. Complete halt. The opponent is already committed to their counter timing and suddenly there's nothing to counter. The rhythm is gone. Their window closes. And then Ippo can restart immediately, catch them mid-adjustment and hit them before they recover. It works, and when it works, it's devastating. Title challengers immediately withdrew after seeing it used in a defense. The stop and go broke people's confidence at a fundamental level. But now, here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Kamogawa refused to teach it. He refused. He knew what the stop-and-go motion did to the human body. The sudden reversal of forces on the knees and hips, the strain of stopping something that has built up that kind of momentum. He told Ippo it was beyond the capacity of most people. He said nothing about it publicly and gave Ippo no guidance in developing it. Ippo developed it himself, in secret. And he injured himself doing it. Dr. Yamaguchi, after finding out, gave him a hard limit. Use the new Dempsey Roll a maximum of 2 times in any given match. Not 3, not 4, 2. Because repeated use causes permanent damage. The move that solved the rhythm problem came with a body tax that could end his career prematurely if mismanaged. Kamogawa later said quietly to Yagi-chan that the new Dempsey Roll was still not complete, still had further to go, which should tell you everything. Because there's a problem the new Dempsey Roll doesn't solve. Against a counterpuncher who does not react to feints, someone who only moves when a punch is actually coming, the stop and go is just a pause. It doesn't throw off their timing because their timing isn't based on the motion, it's based on the punch. And Ricardo Martinez is the extreme version of that type. His jab finds you during the weave regardless of your rhythm. Because he's not reading the rhythm, he's reading you. The new Dempsey Roll is a solution, it's not the solution. Now the third form. The diagonal Dempsey Roll, the free form. After Ippo's 8th title defense, something happened. Kamogawa hinted to Yagi-chan that he had been thinking, that he was preparing Ippo's lower body for something. He didn't elaborate. What emerged from that preparation, through training that involved running hills with tires tied around his waist, building leg strength that Ippo himself didn't fully understand the purpose of, is the third form of the Dempsey Roll, the diagonal, previously theorized by people within the story itself as the free-form Dempsey Roll. Here's the problem the diagonal solves, and it's the most important problem. Both the original Dempsey Roll and the new Dempsey Roll operate on a horizontal axis. The figure 8 motion sweeps left and right. The punches are hooks. If you understand the plane of movement, and every high-level boxer does, you can build a strategy around it. Even the stop and go only adds a timing layer on top of the same horizontal plane. The vector of attack is still fundamentally predictable. The diagonal breaks the axis. Instead of weaving left to right, Ippo weaves diagonally. His head moves at unpredictable angles, 3-dimensionally, rather than along a set horizontal pattern. And because the motion is diagonal, he can now throw from positions the original couldn't reach. 3/4 uppercuts, diagonal overhands. He can launch into a gazelle punch off the momentum of springing back up from the lower position, closing distance in a way no opponent expects. Takamura watched Ippo practice the diagonal. Takamura, who has seen everything Ippo has ever developed, who has been in that gym since the beginning. And this is what he said. It would become an unlimited free-form high-speed combination. You wouldn't be able to aim a counter against it. Read that twice. Takamura, the strongest fighter in the entire Hajime no Ippo universe, said there's no way to aim a counter against the third form of the Dempsey Roll. The diagonal motion removes the fixed angle. The angle removal means you cannot time your counter because you don't know what punch is coming or where it's coming from. An uppercut, a hook, an overhand, all at speeds Ippo has been building toward for years, and all from a weave that makes your targeting unreliable. Ricardo's jab stopped the OG Dempsey Roll by hitting Ippo through a predictable horizontal arc. You cannot do that when the arc is diagonal and variable. The head is no longer where you expect it to be when you throw the jab. This is the first version of the Dempsey Roll that theoretically answers Ricardo. But in a fight, it's only been used once, against Jimmy Sisfar. And Kamogawa hinted afterward that Ippo's body still wasn't ready to use it repeatedly. The strain on the lower body from the diagonal motion, combined with the explosive recovery needed, is even greater than the new Dempsey Roll stop and go. It's a weapon that shortens your career every time you throw it. Kamogawa's solution was the tire hill running, the leg conditioning. Build a frame capable of housing this engine properly before unleashing it again. And then Ippo retired. This is where it gets interesting. This is where, if you have been reading carefully, you realize the retirement arc is not a pause in the story. This is the final preparation. Retired Ippo does not stop training. He becomes a second, a cornerman, and assistant for the Kamogawa gym. He helps his teammates, he spars constantly. He's running, he's building his lower body. The same training regimen that unlocked the diagonal in the first place is now being sustained and expanded. When Sendo and Vogue witnessed Ippo's transformation in Mexico, both of them came out of those sessions disturbed. Sendo, who has been fighting at the world level, who knocked down Ricardo Martinez in a spar and now in a world title fight, was shaken by what he felt from retired Ippo. Vogue, who is a world champion, came out questioning whether Ippo should still be retired. And let me tell you, these are not casual impressions. These are fighters at the absolute summit of the sport in this manga's universe. And both of them looked at a man who hasn't fought professionally in 2 years and felt something wrong. What Ippo's retirement has done is allow his body, finally free from the damage accumulation of actual matches, to condition itself properly for the one technique that had never been fully deployable. He is not just maintaining the diagonal, he is building the capacity to throw it whenever he needs to. Not twice, not once, as many times as the fight demands. That is what the retirement arc is. It's not Morikawa killing time. This is Morikawa engineering the final weapon. And now to the fourth form, and what it's for. Now let's be precise about what the fourth form actually is, because I want to be very careful here. There is no fourth form with a name, no chapter where Morikawa draws it and calls it something. What exists is a logical endpoint, the progression of everything the three forms have solved, built into a body that can finally sustain it. The original gave Ippo a weapon he had never seen before. The new Dempsey Roll gave that weapon timing unpredictability. The diagonal gave it directional unpredictability. What the fourth form represents is the synthesis. A Dempsey Roll thrown with full original power, stop-and-go timing capability, diagonal access freedom, and a lower body engineered to run it for as long as the fight requires. No feint to shut it down, no predictable rhythm to exploit, no fixed angle to counter through, no two-use limit. That is theoretically unanswerable, not just for the boxers we've seen in this manga, for Ricardo Martinez specifically. And this is what makes this so deliberately constructed. Ricardo has been watching. He noticed Ippo in Mexico with Wally. He looked at the retired Dempsey Roll user and told Bill something was off, that somehow the wheel of fate seems to revolve around Makunouchi Ippo even now. Ricardo does not say things like that. Never. He doesn't notice people like that. He noticed Ippo. The man who shot down the original Dempsey Roll with jabs has been keeping tabs on the man who reinvented it. As if he can feel that the weapon isn't done yet. As if he understands on some competitive instinct that this isn't over. Sendo knocked Ricardo down in a spar and now in the world title fight. For the first time in the entire 37-year history of this manga, Ricardo hit the canvas. And the reason Sendo was able to do it, the reason he had the physical capability, is because he spent years fighting a retired fisherman from Tokyo in preparation. Ippo has been the measuring stick for everybody who wants to challenge Ricardo. Sendo trained with him and fought him, Date fought him, Wally fought him, and everybody who walks away from those sessions and fights understands something the rankings don't show. Retired Ippo is not weaker than the Ippo who held the Japanese featherweight title. He might be the most dangerous version of him that has ever existed. The only one whose body was specifically built to house the final form of the one technique that answers Ricardo. The Dempsey Roll has three forms. The first one proved the concept. The second one solved the timing. The third one solved the angle. The fourth one, the unnamed, untested theoretical synthesis, solves Ricardo. And that's the only reason Morikawa wrote 300 chapters of a retired protagonist still training. Not because he was running out of ideas. This happened because he's engineering something. Every hill run, every sparring session with Vogue, Sendo and Mashiba, every quiet moment where someone who fought Ippo walks away looking disturbed, it all feeds into one endpoint. Ippo does not come back to prove he's still a boxer. This man will come back because there's one fight left in this manga that can't happen without him. And when the Dempsey Roll finally runs in its complete form, no limit, no predictable arc, no counter, the 37 years of this story will have a reason. The fourth form ends the manga, and Ricardo is the only man it was built for.